Hi, my name is Viola, and I'm interviewing my dad about his 1997 Everest climb. He was on an expedition with Nova filming a documentary, and he was with climbers such as David Brashears, Ed Beasters, Guy Cotter, and a few other notable climbers. I'm a naturally curious person, and I wanted to learn more about his climb even 30 years later, so I thought I would interview him and ask all these questions I can't find the answer to on the internet, so I wanted to share that with all you guys. And I created this series, My Dad Climbed Everest and I Have Questions. I originally made it for TikTok, so that's why it's formatted the way it is, and I encourage you to go look on my TikTok if you want to see it there. But these will kind of be compilations of those TikToks. In today's video, we're covering these topics: why he wanted to climb Mount Everest and how he got the opportunity, the physical prep for Everest and the mental prep for Everest, then how it would have felt to not make the summit of Everest and what he would have done. Did he have to sign a waiver to climb Everest? And did he climb Mount Everest for his ego? Along with, did he feel selfish for climbing Everest? Then how he told his mom and his fiance that he was going to climb Everest. And then does he still climb today, and if he has any climbs in the work. But that's it for this compilation. I hope you enjoy it and stay tuned for more.
A lot of people ask me, why did I want to climb Mount Everest, or why did I climb Everest? Really, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to climb Everest. The first time I saw it, there was a poster in a National Geographic magazine, and I took it out of the magazine and put it on my bedroom wall. And it was on my bedroom wall from when I was about 8 years old to probably when I graduated from high school in 1982 in Indianapolis. So I'd always been drawn to the mountain. I read a lot of books about polar exploration and also Everest climbs. And so I was kind of infatuated and intrigued by it. It's kind of like the movie Close Encounters, where those people are drawn to Devil's Tower in Wyoming, to the UFO. I was always drawn to the mountain, the Everest mountain, and it just felt like I wanted to give it a try. And I had some really lucky breaks. I met the right people, and I got a job on Rainier out of college, and that helped. I was guiding on Rainier for a few years, and continued to meet the right people. And so my life has been sort of very lucky, and that I found these people that gave me the opportunity to go to Everest. The way I prepared for Everest, so I'm stuck in Indiana preparing to go climb an 8,000 meter peak, and Indianapolis is 750 feet above sea level. I would fly out to Washington State in the summer, usually once a month for a long weekend, and meet my climbing partner Darren, and we'd go up in the Cascades and climb, like Mount Shuxton or Mount Baker or Mount Adams. We do other different routes out there. And so I was still climbing a lot. And, I was guiding too out of college from 1986 to 1992. I guided on Rainier and Denali and Aconcagua and Mexico, volcanoes. So I was still doing a lot of climbing at this point. When I was Everest in 91, I was climbing a lot because I was working on Rainier. But then in 97, I was working full-time in Indianapolis and kind of going back and forth in the climbing world, going out to Washington to climb. But I would work out. I would do a lot of cardiovascular, bike riding, spinning, Stairmaster, running, a lot of running. And then I would also do a lot of weights. Back then we didn't have any core conditioning. It was all free weights and stuff like that. So all that, and I took care of myself, and I was working out probably 6 days a week, pretty hard. You kind of have to mentally prepare. Mentally, I read a lot about Everest and, looked at maps, looked at photos about the route. Also put myself in a mindset of I was really, really going to push myself on this 97 climb, especially, because I knew that was probably going to be my last chance to ever climb on Everest or make an attempt on Everest, just because of my age and my my work situation in Indy, preparing myself to really, really push myself, try to get to the top without killing myself. I also was kind of preparing, if I didn't summit and didn't make it to the top, how would I live through that? And I was working through that too. I wanted to make sure that I had enough guts to turn around when I needed to, if I needed to. Oh, if I never made it to the top of Everest for the second time, it would have been probably pretty devastating. I really think I probably would have gone back one more time. The reason is, I remember I was talking to some guys at base camp, and we were concerned the weather wasn't going to get any better. There was some pretty big storms that were coming in, and I was concerned we're going to run out of time. I was already running through my head, okay, I have one more time. So it's kind of intoxicating, and it's hard to give up on Everest. So I probably would have gone back. I didn't sign any waivers to climb Everest. I think I might have signed a waiver with Adventure Consultants, Guy Cotter's crew, because we were members. Ed and I were members of that team. I mean, everybody knows the risks when they're up there, and I don't think a waiver would do any good. You're in a very high environment. It's unforgiving, and everybody that is up there knows the risks. So waivers are kind of a joke. No, we didn't sign I don't think I signed a waiver other than with Adventure Consultants, and that was '97. It's probably changed now because, everybody's worried about getting sued and all that stupid stuff. I'm sure now all these teams have their clients sign waivers. A lot of people do climb for their ego. I mean, I do. I mean, everybody does. Everybody runs marathons or something for their ego. So yeah, it's a hard question. I love mountain climbing, and I love being with a group of people working on the same goal and working together. And that's kind of what I really enjoy about climbing. There is a little ego involved. There's a little ego involved in everything we do in our lives. Yeah, so that's a tough question. I mean, I don't know how to really answer it. But I'm glad I went, and glad I climbed Everest. But most importantly, I've learned a lot about my from traveling to Nepal, and I've learned how beautiful the Nepalese people are, how their personalities are wonderful. They're great people, and they're happy, and that has rubbed off on how I view life. Did I ever feel selfish for climbing? No, I never really did, because when I was very young, I wasn't married. I didn't have I didn't have you. So it was just me, and nobody was really dependent on me. And when I was guiding, I thought I was a really pretty good guide. And I still like teaching people how to climb mountains, especially like in Colorado now, where I do most of my climbing. It's always fun to run into somebody that needs help with rest step or pressure breathing or route finding, things like that. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, nobody really depended on me, and it would be a different thought process if I had kids and I was married, I think. Both my mom and Marta, my fiance at the time, knew how important climbing was to me, and they supported me in all my climbing endeavors and time away from Indy. I never really had any issues leaving, but I also didn't want to take advantage of that. I knew I had to be very careful and not take any unnecessary risks. The conversations happened, but it was always a little. I mean, we always had those conversations. I'm still climbing, but I'm not really doing anything technical or hard. I mean, high. Basically, I'm 62 years old in November. I spent a lot of time in Colorado hiking in the mountains. I think we climbed 6 14ers this year. I would like to climb Rainier a few more times before I can't climb Rainier. I don't know when that's going to be. But yeah, I'm climbing. I'm very active. I'm in the mountains every day when I'm in Colorado. When we're back in Indiana, I still work out every day and I pretend I'm preparing to go on a climb. Like today, I went out and rode 20 some miles and felt pretty good. But always working out, always training, always lifting, always Stairmaster, running, biking. So I'm doing something every day. I have no climbs in the works. I might do a few more Nepal trips, maybe to base camp and maybe Annapurna Circuit or Annapurna Base Camp. But my climbing days are kind of done. Talking to my old climbing partner, Darren, a few days ago, and we might go climb Mount Adams or Mount Rainier in Washington next year. I'm still pretty physically fit, but I'm 62 years old. It's harder and harder for me to get motivated to really push myself in the mountains and get up at 1 in the morning to go climbing when it's cold and putting your crampons on. No big plans right now for any big climbs.